Hey, how's it going? It's Colleen Coles here, and I'm so excited to share this really juicy training with you on how you can find your people if you're maybe starting like a side hustle or have a part-time business going on, and do that without feeling like you'll lose your friends or family or cannot be your true self. I think sometimes it's so hard to start something that's really like a heartfelt project or a heartfelt business without kind of selling short of who we are as people. It can be so vulnerable to get out there and finally share what you're really lit up about, and then feel like people will actually respect you for that. Like it's like a baby, right? And I know that from my journey, as well as others I've worked with, and maybe you're similar in this way, that like once we start to get vulnerable, it can feel so scary, and even that the people who we love and trust will actually kind of leave us because of that, because maybe what we're sharing is really different. And at the same time, it can feel really hard to do whatever we really want in a unique way, because who we are learning from is doing it in a certain way. We want to make it work, but the way that that's working for us, it's not working. So it's like, what's wrong with me is kind of that thought. But I want to tell you that there's actually nothing wrong with you. It's just that you need to find your own unique way to be you and speak your truth. And that is how your people will find you. So, 3 ways my clients find their people and serve their business and side hustle: by being themselves 100% of the time, okay? And not losing any of their friends or family, but in fact having those relationships grow stronger. So if you're here watching live, then please let me know and say live in the chat, and I'm gonna be interacting with you through this entire training. And if you're watching the replay, please also let me know and just put replay in the comments so that I can make sure I say hey to you as well. All right, so I'm so stoked, guys. This is going to be such a juicy training, and so let's go ahead and dive in. So I just want to share a little bit of my story so you can see like, oh my God, that's me too. When I started my coaching business, I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm so excited, like I'm gonna rock the world, and I'm finally in line with my purpose. And maybe for you too, like you have, like I'm like over here with my legs just going, I'm so excited. Maybe for you too, like you already have now your vision for what you want to do, and you have a way in which you figured out like, okay, I know I can make YouTube videos sharing my favorite recipes to help people who want to become more healthy and get out of the standard food industry. Great. Or, for you, maybe you're like, oh, I'm doing doTERRA and I love these oils, and yet I know how they've affected me, but how can I like share that in an authentic way? Because the way that my people are sharing me isn't really working. Okay, so for me, that's what was going on too. Like I had started my coaching business just with so much fire and enthusiasm. And then I was like, okay, so how do I go about and do this? Well, so I started by just like following what coaches were showing me, like naturally, right? But then what I started to notice as I was going through my journey, like the way in which they were saying is the best way to work wasn't actually working for me. Like it wasn't delivering results. I wasn't getting clients. And at the same time, I felt really stuck, because like what I had in my mind to do, I felt was totally wrong. And it became this like backlash cycle of even setting really high goals for myself, because that's what everybody else was doing, and then falling short almost every time. And then being like, what the hell is wrong with me? Or also feeling like because I was such a people pleaser, there was no way that I could go out and do what I thought was a good idea. Like it's not as good as my mentors, and it's not going to work. And I was such a people pleaser that like I felt I just couldn't do that. And I wanted to make sure that, I don't know, like the way that I was sharing, and even creating income for myself, like I didn't want that to go away because I was being my authentic self. I wanted to stay safe and like be a really good student. But the fact was that it wasn't working. Like, let me know in the comments if you have felt that way too. Like maybe you have your own vision for what you really want to do in the world. And yet now that you're like starting to have that move, it's not working in the way you want. And there's kind of this fear of sharing your actual truth and doing it in a way that you really want, maybe even that is kind of unclear, but you know what you want, but it's still unclear, like, because you don't want to be abandoned, like you don't want to be left behind. And even if maybe for your friends and family, if this is like a public thing, you've never shared your truth before in this way, or maybe, for example, like your own intuitive gifts or your own channeling ability. And that's so scary because your family and friends don't like do that. Like, let me know in the comments with a just a yes. Okay, we'll start with that. Yes, if that's you. And I'm going to look at my notes here. But that was definitely me. Definitely people pleaser, definitely wanting to be a good student, and then not really branching out. So it wasn't until recently, in the past like 6 months, that then I found a new mentor who helped me actually own my truth. Right before working with this person, I was trying to fit in with this like system that was creating a webinar, and like I didn't really fully line up with it, and yet I was still trying to be that good student and be a good girl and not rock the boat, but it wasn't working. And it wasn't until like I created this kind of experiment with myself of like, what if I could totally tap into my zone of genius and really just speak my truth 100% of the time, really just be who I want to be 100% of the time, and actually see if that works for me. And so I gave it a shot, and this mentor that I found actually encouraged me to be the authority of my life, encouraged me to really see that I am the one with the answers, and whatever unique ideas I was having was something I should be listening to. It was the fears that were in the way of me speaking my truth. So since then, since that moment of deciding and having this experiment of not trying to be a people pleaser anymore, you know, all of that I've just said, what the results have been like super surprising and really positive. So the results of doing this, which I'm going to share the 3 main ways that you can also speak your truth and be yourself 100% of the time as well. So make sure to stay for this entire training. Okay, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to share exactly how to do that. So what the results have been for me once I've actually owned my truth, spoken my truth, been myself to the best of my ability 100% of the time, totally authentic, claiming my worth, claiming what I really want to do, has been astounding. And some of those results are that I've made in 3 months in my business what I made in the entire year of 2017. I'm helping clients in ways that I never imagined possible, really like own their own intuitive ability and see for themselves through my gifts what their own gifts are. And the results for them have been that they've been able to start their own businesses and have people who love what they do flock to them because they're no longer trying to fit in a box. And what other results are for them and myself in working with this way is that like there is awesome confidence, skyrocketing fast results, where what used to make me so afraid in the past, like speaking up, speaking my truth, owning my own opinion, sharing it out loud with people, doing it in a way that I loved working, used to freak me out. And it took months, like months of different coaching and different me personal development to just get to the surface of it. Where with this way, it's like freaking bam, like that, where you can get over a fear. And that's something that I now want to share with everybody because I wasted so much time doing it a different way that you're probably also doing too. Okay, so getting over fears super fast, confidence skyrocketing, not giving a baker's F what other people think about you, and what, to contrary belief, people flocking to you because of what you do, because of not giving enough, and then like wanting to buy your stuff. And it's not just about the stuff, it's about you being of service and commitment to you, even finding your financial freedom that I know you really want deep down. But you're so afraid of like speaking up and feeling unsupported and thinking like only people of influence can have an influence and do it right. I have to take every step right. That's not true anymore. And so I'm going to start sharing now what you can do so that you can actually own your light, own your truth, speak your truth, and be you 100% of the time, because that, my friend, is actually what has attracting in those people who are like-minded to you in your business, in your yoga classes, like all of it. okay? It's actually because you're hiding that they cannot find you. And so I want to share just this first lesson of why these people aren't coming. Okay, so maybe you work for like doTERRA or something. Hey Morgan, hey Ina, hey Tina, hey Tabitha. So maybe you have like your oil business and you're like so lit up about the oils because you love the oils. They've helped you so much. And yet you are like at your party or whatever and you're telling the story in the way that you've been taught to tell it and nobody's really resonating, nobody's really buying, right? So let me check my notes here. The first thing that I want to share is how that's happening because you're actually hiding your light and you're actually hiding your unique ability to share what you're here to share in the world, like bigger meant to be sharing in the world. Okay. And so it's working for other people because that's their truth. That's the way they've worked, but it's not going to work for you because you don't actually need that structure. You need to tune in and learn how to connect with yourself, your desire, your intuition, your own inner voice, your brilliance, then to share it out, okay? You know, if you're watching this, I bet maybe, let me know in the comments like, yeah, this is me. If you're a person who's like, all right, you know what I need? I just need to be more motivated. I just need to push harder. I just need to have my business breakthrough that then can allow me to have that financial freedom I'm looking for, and like all the people will just show up. So I'm just gonna keep doing what everybody else is doing and telling me to do, and then like pushing it. I want to tell you, friend, that's actually not what you need. You don't need to keep doing it in the same way that's not working. My dad used to say, if you're in a hole, quit digging. Okay? If you're in a hole, quit digging. Meaning, it's time to do something else. And contrary to what you might be thinking, the problem is it's not that you're not business savvy. It's not that you can't market. It's not that you're not articulate. It's actually that you're hiding your own self. So because you're not trusting you, people that you're talking to do not trust you either. Okay? So here's lesson number one. Really, how we do one thing, not two, one thing is how we do everything. How we do one thing is how we do everything. So if you're not hearing yourself, if you're not listening into your own intuition, your own wants, when that voice pops up, if you're putting it down, if you're not being able to hear what you want, if you're not honoring that, other people won't be able to hear you either. So a lot of people that I've worked with or talked with have said, you know, like the people that are ready to work, like they're just not showing up. And that's because they cannot find you, okay? They cannot find you because you can't find you. And I know because I've been there too. I remember being in this one program where I was building like this webinar funnel, and I just kept trying to, like, even though it was against my gut, go for doing everything right and like, oh my God, sure, I'll make the 60 slides, okay, whatever. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't know if I really need to do this, but still doing it anyway. And the fact was, like, yeah, a couple people watched it, but not a lot, and nobody who actually then wanted to work with me as a coach. And it wasn't until I really started to see, you know what? They can't hear me because I'm not listening to myself. Like, I'm only doing it because my coach said I should do it. But they're already listening to her. The fact of the matter is that how we do one thing is how we do everything. So again, they will not trust you until you trust you. They will not listen to you until you listen to you. They will not respect you as unique or as someone of value until you respect you first. So that's really the first step, is to actually start to listen and honor yourself so that other people can find your unique voice and vision and even connect with you in a way that's like, yes, I have to work with you, or I really love your story. Okay? So for example, I have a story for you. For example, I have a client who was actually like in a doTERRA, like a oil company. And she was really frustrated because she wasn't finding the people she wanted to work with. And she said, you know, I just want financial freedom. Like, that's all. And I want to feel supported in how, you know, the people who are like-minded come to me. And I was like, yeah, dude, I get it. And she told me, after we signed up together, we started working, and I was like, okay, how have you been running your program so far? And she was like, well, people come to my house. It's like my grandma and people I don't really like to talk with. They come to my house, and I just I tell them about the product pack, and I tell them how like this kind of changed my life, and nobody buys it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So what do you actually want to be talking about? And she was like, I actually want to be talking about, after we did some digging, she's like, I just want to talk about how these oils like took me out of a depression. And I was like having even suicidal thoughts, but these oils like, and the education around it actually helped me get out of that rut, that like terrible gray space. And I want to be telling people about that. And then she's like, I just really want to teach people. I just want to teach people about crystals and oils and how these alternative ways of healing can really help you. And I was like, okay, bam, that's what you need to be doing. And so what has happened since then? What's so cool is by the way, she was somebody who was so afraid to speak her truth. Even when we were having our first conversation, all she kept doing was apologizing to me for like not saying her words right and kind of like making fun of herself because she didn't say something right. And I was just like, you don't need to do that. And she said she would like never get on a Facebook Live and teach, or never really share about it, only staying behind those like pictures that other people give her to post, right? And so where is she now? Well, what's so cool is that she now is holding a weekly workshop. 1 week it's in person, the other week it's online, and she's teaching her own story. And she's teaching through her own story about what she really wants to talk about. Now, this is the coolest thing. She actually, for her, was like, you know what? I have the intuitive hit, like this like MLM thing, it's not actually for me. So I'm going to put it aside, and I'm going to talk about how she figured that out in a second. But what's so fun is that even though she decided to stop that, all of a sudden while she's doing her classes, people are buying from her. Like she stopped trying, and she's having more sales than when she actually was trying to do it how everybody else was doing it. So that's really lesson number one. If you're feeling stuck as well, if you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm doing it like everybody says, but I just can't be myself in this, I can't really speak my truth, that's lesson number one. How we do one thing is how we do everything. And the reason people aren't flocking to you is because they cannot find you, because you haven't listened to your own truth. So step number two is, let's look, oh my God, this is such a good step. So step number two is actually that we're setting goals for ourselves that aren't aligned with ourselves. And this kind of goes back to when we don't know what we really want because we haven't slowed down enough to really hear our own voice, then out of fear, we create these like huge audacious goals. So let me know in the comments, audacious goals, if you've done this. You ready? Okay, hold on. So let me know in the comments, audacious goals, if you're somebody who has set up for yourself, you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited about this new thing. I'm going to have 15 people come to my workshop. 15 people, yes. Or I want to grow my team from 17 to 30 people, yes. Or I want like 5 new clients, yes. Like, And then all of a sudden, like, time's coming by, and you're not doing it. Like, it's not happening for you. Let me know in the comments, and then you feel like crap because you haven't made that happen and you're thinking, what's wrong with me? That has totally been my case too. I remember like the first 3 years of my business, I was comparing myself to everybody else. Okay, so step number two, so that you can find your people to serve and also stay in alignment with you and speak your truth, is this step here. Set goals that are actually in alignment with what your heart desires. Okay, so many times we actually just compare ourselves to other people, and out of fear, we create these like super swing, huge goals that we actually don't believe we can do. But because it's like all the other high players out there, we think, oh, this is gonna make me better. But it actually just brings you down, because then you never believed you could do it anyway, so you're not taking the appropriate action. You probably didn't even really want that thing, and so then you don't get it. And then you feel like crap, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? I cannot make a difference. I might as well not do this. Like, it's not working, okay? And that's been a huge lesson for me. once I finally actually adjusted my goals to fit my heart's desires rather than looking outward, that's when things started to really progress. And do you see how that's in alignment with you speaking your truth? Because you're speaking your truth to your first, okay? So even going back to step number 1, it's like, when you hear yourself, others will hear you. So when you're aligning with your own heart's desires as your goals, all of a sudden you can start making an impact and reaching those goals and reaching more people. Judith Sheila's on. Hey guys, what's up? Morgan's on too. Hey, hey. So I want to give you an example of this. I remember when I started my coaching business, I was in a year-long coaching certification program. And I remember, you know, as more and more women were joining this program, like they were sharing all these like financial goals and like all these like huge things. And I was only like 24. And frankly, I didn't really care about money stuff. Like it wasn't what was motivating me. I remember at the time, at the very beginning of the year, thinking, you know what, as long as I graduate this program, I'll be happy. Like I just want to graduate this program and then later I can make money, you know, but I just want to graduate this program. And so that was like actually my original goal, because there was a lot to do to graduate. You couldn't just graduate. Like there was a lot to do. And so come April, come May, come June, come July, we're learning all these tools to gain clients. And I'm like in this community of women who are not only like at 100K years, like, and I was just a teacher. Like I was making $25,000 a year, like 2 years before that. So that was like mind blowing to me. But they were also like using all these structures and funnels and stuff and like creating even more success. So I was like steeped in that community and being like, okay, yeah, like, oh yeah, like let's have $40,000 come in 2 months. Yeah, of course, right. And then of course it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. And so I went through that same process. I was like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And having so much shame around it. So if you're in that position and you're on a team or you've set your goals and they're not happening, I want to just give you permission right in this moment, dude, to just drop that shame, because there's nothing wrong with you. You're actually very perfect. I think what's happening maybe is just that you're aligning with somebody else's vision instead of your own. But when you connect back to who you are, your own gifts, which I can help you do and help you calm to then listen to your intuition and yourself, whereas I know right now it's probably really confusing, that's when you start to get your results. So for me in my coaching program, it was only when I started to go back, and mentors are great because that's what really helped me see my truth. I had another mentor who was like, Colleen, what do you really want? Like, that's your answer. What do you really want? And I was like, no, I just want to be speaking. I was learning all these internet structures and they weren't working. So it wasn't until I got back to my roots, back calm enough, clear enough, quiet enough, true enough, brave enough to be like, what's true for me? What do I want? Even if it's a smaller goal than everybody else I know. And for me, it was, I want to speak and I just want to graduate my program. I don't care how much money I make. I just want to graduate my program. Well, guess what? After I made that, I had my first workshop. 8 people came, which for me was huge because nobody had been showing up other places. And then I signed like my first 2 clients. Then all of a sudden after that, it was like boom, 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 client, 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 client. And I coached 100 hours in about 2 months. And that was the requirement to graduate. I even remember passing that and having 103 hours by the time I needed to graduate. And that was what created the goal. That's what created the confidence. And I was doing it because I was in alignment with what I really wanted rather than connecting to somebody else's goals. Okay, so that is step number 2. Mariah's here. Hey, Mariah, what's up? So put in the chat box if like, just put resonate if this resonates with you. If you've ever put, you know, yourself in a position where you looked outside of yourself, so you set a huge goal, but then it was out of fear really, so you like didn't accomplish it and then you felt like crap. So that's really a huge step, guys, to be able to have yourself reach your goals and actually have it work for you and people find you. Because I know you want to do good work. I know you want to help other people. And honestly, I know you already have a vision of you and your husband running a nonprofit from your house and having a farm or like a dog rescue clinic. Like I see that already for you. I know you have that. And I know deep down you really want financial freedom. And that's okay. All right, but these are the first steps you need to take in order to have that happen for you. I was just talking with a friend colleague of mine today, and she was like, you know what, in this other team where they're just telling me to push harder and do what they're telling them to do, even though it doesn't feel good to me, I was actually resisting putting videos up because I was like, I don't want them on that team. I don't want that energy, so how would they? So subconsciously, like, this stuff affects us when we don't even realize. And so she's probably going to be joining me in my sphere because it feels better. It's lighter. It's more authentic. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you 2 ways in which you can also do the same thing if you're ready to own your truth, speak your truth, be yourself, and also grow your side hustle or have financial freedom. So make sure to stay till the end, and I'm going to tell you 2 ways in which you can do that in my world. Anyway, so she's going to be great. So step number 3 in how to serve the people who are meant to work with you. They want to find you, but they're not coming, and still do it in a way that has you speak 100% of the time. So step number 3, this is big, guys. This is really the reason why you're not doing what you should be doing, okay? And when I say that, what I mean is, like, you know you want to wake up earlier, and yet you keep sleeping in. Or you know that you need to be making a Facebook Live video, but you're not making it, and you don't know why. And then you kick yourself because you're like, well, I don't hear my intuition. I can't do this. Like, I'm going to tell you why, okay? The reason is this. It comes back to our core wound. Okay, so the reason you're not taking those actions and establishing those good habits, even though, like, consciously you just so want it so badly, is because of the wound. So what is the wound? The wound is the place where when you were super young, this happened where you felt disconnected from your tribe or your family just because you were being yourself. Okay, so there was a moment, and then after that, probably progressive ongoing moments with your family, where because you were yourself, you felt like, oh my God, like, I'm doing me, but then, like, family, like, cut you off, or it wasn't okay to be that or do that or be so loud or whatever. This is, like, juicy, guys. This is juicy. So you basically, as a small person, decided, oh my God, if I want to survive and be in this tribe and have this love, I need to be like these people, okay? And so because you realized that, and it was really kind of a survival thing, you then decided you were going to change, okay? And so this is where a lot of the times we say we want more self-love, but we're not giving it to ourselves. Or we say, you know, you want to have those great habits, but you're not doing it. And maybe for you, again, the way that you know you want to speak out and just share who you are, like, maybe you actually want to just date new people instead of have a monogamous relationship, but you don't think that's okay, so you're not doing that. Or maybe you have these, like, fantasies to live out, but you're not doing it with your husband or in your life because you think it's wrong or bad, okay? And so the reason you're not speaking your truth is because you think that people will abandon you and your family's going to abandon you. And so what you need to do to get over that is to work with somebody who can help you see those voices in your head that are coming from that place of a wound, and be able to turn them off, because it's actually not the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are is this bright, shining person who has a really unique message to share and a really unique way in doing it. But you're not doing it because you think that you're going to be cut off from everybody you love and trust. And so that's worse than the shame or feeling like, oh, I can't do this. Why isn't this not happening? Okay, which is why I know you're even afraid of speaking your truth and being yourself 100% of the time. It's because of the wound, okay? It's because of that time in your life when somebody, your parent or somebody like that, cut you off from being yourself and you didn't want to be left behind, okay? So let me just give you an example of that scenario. I remember working with a client who, when this is part of my process, is looking at the wound, okay? And so for you uniquely, and for this client, we kind of had this meditation. So we slowed down. We used my intuitive process to connect to, like, higher intelligence. And I asked her like what one of her first memories were. And she said, first off, just to tell you, she was so afraid to like be her true self, even in front of her family. And she felt like they never wanted to hang out with her. And so they never really listened to her. And she didn't really feel loved or supported. So she wasn't going to go about and like speak her truth even more, because that was even more scary, right? So one of her first memories was her as a baby and her brothers like outside, and she had wanted to play with them, but they had already rejected her. Her mom was in the kitchen and her dad was out of the house. But her mom was in the kitchen, she was in the living room, because her mom had like basically showed her that she was in the way all the time. So her first memory, which is so strong for her development, by the way, is her being alone and her family not wanting to hang out with her, right, as a little kid. And so what that meant for her was that if I'm just being myself, like my family doesn't want to be around me. And can you imagine how strong and hurtful that can be growing up and making sure like, well, I'm going to be exactly who they want me to be so that they love me and can be part of this tribe. Okay. So then by doing the process that I teach and show, we cleared out that old energy. We literally reestablished it to the light. And I told her exactly what actions to take so that she can counteract that energy. She can counteract that wound. And so through those specific actions, she all of a sudden is totally confronting the fear and passing through it, because it doesn't have the power anymore. She sees where it came from and then how to get rid of it, which is that I was talking about, like that super fast way of going through your fear rather than processing it for months and months and not having the results you want. Whoa. So what were the results of that? The results of that were that all of a sudden she gained so much more confidence in herself. She's speaking up her truth and she's sharing her light with the world, where again, it's people buying from her when she wasn't even trying. And it's having the confidence to then be connected to the light, like connected to source and her intuition. She's clearer on what she wants. She's clear on how her intuition is speaking. There's no more cloudiness. There's no more doubt. It's just her seeing like, oh, and when those issues come up of her stopping herself, she now knows why. And so she can like take the action to counter it. You feel me? The same happened with me, where I realized at one point that I had a really big issue, and sometimes still do, honestly, trusting myself, trusting the universe, trusting God, trusting other people, all of that. Trusting money, like all of it relates, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. And it wasn't until I was working with a mentor in a workshop where we were dancing and conscious dance, and he said, take out the energy that's holding you back the most. And like with my intuitive gifts of being able to actually physically hold energy, even with another person, and feel it within my own body, I was able to like take the energy out of my chest, and I saw it, and it was heavy. And the energy was this energy of mistrust. It was this fear of trust. And I was like, why would I have a fear of trust? That's so weird. Like, why would people not want to trust? But as I looked at this like football-like energy, all of a sudden it made total sense. I saw the picture of my father within that energy. And in that moment, I realized the reason I was holding on so tightly to this conviction of mistrust was because that's how my father related to the world. And that's how his parents and their parents related to the world, was that you get ahead by not trusting other people and doing it and struggling on your own. So because I had the awareness, I was able then to put that energy down and away and see, okay, wait, when I'm not trusting, it's only because I'm afraid to lose the connection to my father, because that's how my tribe related. Do you get it? So that's just another example of how the things that we say we want to lose the most are actually holding on to us because we want to stay connected to the tribe. And that all comes from the wound. So when you heal the wound, you can heal those bad habits and then actually skyrocket and speak your truth, being yourself. You won't be afraid to do that anymore, okay? Just like my client who then is able to go to family parties and speak her truth and be confident, and then people respecting her even more because she respects herself, right? She's not afraid of that abandonment anymore. And just like for me, like the way that I speak to my family now, because I've healed that stuff too, like my sister, she used to never listen to me, never respect me, but now she like comes to my advice, and it's because I respect myself and I'm not needing her love because I know it's within me. Okay, so those are the three things that will help you find the people who are actually trying to find you but cannot, and help you find that financial freedom that I know you really want, and also have you being yourself 100% of the time. Okay, so just to recap, step number 1 was, if you know it, be in the comments, tell me. I'm just looking at my notes here. Step number 1, was how we do one thing is how we do everything. So in order to have people find you, you need to find yourself and really speak the truth. What you think you need is not what you need. What you think you need is not more business savviness, not more motivation, not more push, push, push. It's actually you listening to yourself. What you actually need is to speak your truth, because when you speak your truth and are authentic to who you are, that's when you will attract in people who are also like you. Okay? But that can feel so hard because when we're not listening to ourselves, we're, number 2, creating goals that don't align with us anymore and are coming out of fear, because we're not listening to what our wants are. It can also be super challenging, even though it sounds so simple, because we're coming from the wound, and that was step number 3, was getting clarity on the wound. Because even though we think we want to be ourselves in the world, it's something holding back, and that's what's holding us back, is thinking we'll be abandoned by our tribe if we act differently. And I know if you're like me, you have some spiritual gifts you're discovering, or you have some beliefs that just don't fit with your family or your friends, and it goes back even years and years when you were a little child, okay? So I want to share with you that when you do speak your truth, when you do come from a place of, I don't care what others think, and I'm just going to do me, that's when your business can start to really rise. That's when your workshops start to fill up. That's when you start your own business. That's when you get into really, really great relationships. Okay? Your whole life changes. Your whole life changes because you're in alignment with who you are. And I know that's what you want deep down anyway. So how can you do that? How is a way that you can do that? I want to share with you now, like, you're in luck, because all that I've been talking about, the reason I've been talking about it is because I've been there too. That's been my background, is everything we've just shared today. And now being on the other side of it, all I want to do is share with you how you can do that too, because it's so freaking important. It's important for you, for your financial freedom. It's important for you to serve other people in the world. It's important for you to do God's work in the world for you. But I know it's in your heart as well. Like, you already know why it's important. And I know that this is a way that will skyrocket you because you're not hiding anymore. You don't have to do it in ways that make you uncomfortable. You can actually do your business by being in love and aligned with you. So how do you do that? I told you I would share 2 ways in which we can do that. The first way is through a really great coaching program that I have. It's a one-on-one coaching program. It's brand new. It's a 4-month program where we're working together in 90-minute, hour and a half sessions together for 4 months. So it's like a deep dive, together, where we're going through each step of my process, and I've shared some of them with you today, to have you then speak up, have you be in alignment with who you are, know what you want, stop being a people pleaser, and have everything in your life just expand and grow because you're in alignment with you. Okay, you know the steps of how to speak your truth, be yourself, and also tune in to something greater than yourself, so you're not looking outward at everybody else, what they're doing. Okay, because that's just going to get you frustrated. And so that's a 4-month program. That's a way that you can work with me, and I'm going to deep dive with you, and it's so exciting. And so there's only 3 spots available for that because it is a brand new program. I do give a lot to my one-on-one clients, and so I do have that kind of as a smaller group. Okay, right now as well, because it is brand new, it's at a reduced price point than it will be in the future. So if this is something you're like, yes, I'm ready for, what's the next step? I want you to go ahead and just send me a private message and say, hey, Colleen, like, I want more information. I just watched your video. What's the next step? And the next step will be, I'm going to send you an application for you to apply for this program. You're going to fill it out. I'm going to look over it, and then we'll probably get on a call just to see where you're at, what's going on, and then we'll, boom, go into the coaching, okay? So that's step number one. The other way in which you can work with me is actually through it's through a group program, but it's through a way that I'm also creating financial freedom in my world and helping my clients and also others in my millennial generation do the same thing. Okay, so it's a way in which it's a group program. It's where you're going to actually establish your own financial freedom in this way, in a way that feels really good to you, and you'll have my mentorship, but in a smaller way, but consistently through time. Okay, so that's a really, really cool thing. That also has a special investment price that's a lot less because it is a group program. And it's only for a couple days with this special price point. So let me know, again, private message me if that's something you're interested in. And the same thing will go on, where I'll send you an application, you'll fill it out, we'll get on a phone call, and then we'll see which is right for you, what you desire, and what's best for you. Because all I know is that this work is changing lives, and I want you to have the keys to being able to be confident as yourself and leave old unhealthy things behind, like relationships and ways of working in the world that are only frustrating and don't get you results. So can't wait to talk with you again. 3 spots in my one-on-one 4-month coaching program, and where your results will be, you will have your intuitive gifts on lockdown. You will know what those are. You will be able to hear your intuition 100% of the freaking time and be really clear on who you are and what you want, and coming from that place of alignment, which then will only help you successfully in your endeavors creatively. Or also my group program, where I'm going to be mentoring you, but in like a smaller way through time, that you can then create your financial freedom. So lots of cool stuff. If you're even just curious about either one of those programs, go ahead and just send me a private message and I can have you apply, just so that then I get your questions answered. We can see if it's a good energetic fit. And if not, that's cool too, right? But if you've been watching this video up till now, I feel like we're jiving and you're needing to be in this, because I know I can help you. And I want that more than anything, is to be able to see you successfully go out and get that financial freedom and all that you're meant for in this world. I'm really committed to that, because that's my job. Okay, so I'm sending you so much love, and private message me and we'll chat, we'll connect. Again, limited time here, limited amount of spots, so make sure to grab that now. And I can't wait to talk with you soon. So have a great day today. Thanks for watching, and can't wait to even see you apply these things in your life. It's going to be epic. All right, lots of love. Bye.